Phil.
I'm Nilden.
I'm Raz.
I'm gonna bust his ass.
I'm Brandon.
Slide jobs by the dozen out here.
Hello, this is Thomas.
Here. Pisser.
I'm John.
Sit down the back straightaway for the final time.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
This is the Dirty Slider Podcast. Don't let a slider get your ass kicked. Hey, welcome in, Slider Nation, to episode 43, Richard Petty of the Dirty Slider Podcast. We definitely appreciate everybody's support, everybody's viewership. Welcome to the new viewers. Thank you to the old viewers. We're coming up on a year doing this. It's been a fun ride, and I'm hoping we keep it going. It's just four of us. Neilden has baby duties, and Phil's just old, I guess. He ran out of energy, had to take a nap.
Damn it, son.
We had a guest lined up,
True.
but at the last minute he couldn't oblige. So it's gonna be us four idiots. Brandon, what topic we starting off with tonight?
Well, let's talk about violence. Well, some say it's entertainment. Some say it's violence. I mean, you make your choice on that.
Two guys went to the track and chose violence.
Yeah.
Well, so here's a video from Farmington Empire Speedway, and $50 a piece, and they handle their discussion on the front straightaway. So the little video goes.
So we're looking at this from the front stretch. Those guys are currently on the back stretch, right? No. This is the back stretch. We're looking at the front stretch.
This from the back, yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at the front stretch. They're on their front stretch, handling their differences, right? Keeping their problems on the track instead of taking them to the pit area. So this is a quick little video there. My question is, what are your thoughts? As I've seen some tracks say, I'll pay your money, do it on the front stretch. Some tracks say, we're not having any part of it. This track here says, we tried it once and we probably shouldn't have did that. What are your guys' thoughts?
Well, this track, Farmington Empire, had that policy, is if you're going to fight on the front stretch, we'll give you an extra $50. I have a problem with paying money because now it's like you're paying a bounty to have a fight on the front stretch.
Well, it's an entertainment venue. People are there to see entertainment. What's paying them an extra little bit of money? They're paying them to be there anyways.
I mean, for sure, that's how you put butts in the seats. I think Bowman Gray is the prototype for that. They have a packed house every single time they race, and these kind of shenanigans go on there regularly. But I don't think they're paying anybody because they don't have to.
No.
Bowman Gray is more so cars on cars instead of people on people for the most part.
I've seen both there.
Well, you see both there, but
There was the one where the guy launched himself into the other guy's windshield from
feet first.
the back stretch. Feet first, exactly.
I mean, people pay to see carnage. I mean, on a regular race night, people are there hoping that there's going to be some accidents just for the carnage, right? So it's an entertainment venue, and if it doesn't happen, you're going to die out.
I mean, there's a certain element of, I won't call them race fans, let's call them race viewers, who are just there for the wrecks. That's all they're there for.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you've ever crewed on a car or gotten in a car, you're not ever going to feel that way because you know what's at stake. You know how easy it is to get hurt. The cubic dollars that are going down the drain as soon as two cars start tangling with each other. So, it's the potential for a driver to get hurt, a spectator to get hurt, a crew guy to get hurt. So we all have a different view on it than those vultures who watch for that reason. Farmington Empire Speedway now has a different view. I'll pull this up. They're rethinking their position.
But I mean, for you guys, what do you think? If you were the track promoter, are you gonna have them fight it out on the front stretch trying to get viewers? Or are you gonna, go with the no fighting policy? Or what are your guys' thoughts before you go all the way here?
Yeah, so this is what Farmington has to say. We sincerely apologize to everyone who attended the track event last night. Our intention was never to condone violence, and we deeply regret that the experience may have given the impression otherwise. In the recent past, we've seen incidents of fights and heated arguments at events which at times have resulted in injuries, something we especially want to avoid for innocent bystanders. In many situations, two individuals both want to confront each other. In an effort to manage such situations more effectively, we requested that any disputes remain on the track. This approach has been used at some televised racing venues in the past, where it helped mitigate escalation in high-tension situations. We were under the impression that this approach was the best way to handle said situations. Nevertheless, we recognize that asking participants to confine disagreements to the track was not the ideal solution. We are revisiting our rules and procedures to establish a safer and more effective way to handle confrontations between competitors. Thank you for your understanding and your continued support. So I said off camera that I think that's their insurance company talking right there.
And that's a huge part of it. I mean, all of us know of a track that just recently shut down because of insurance reasons, and a pretty popular track, right? Not your run of the mill local Saturday night only short track. I mean, this track held Winter Nationals for 4 or 5 years in a row, and now it can't operate because of insurance reasons. When you have two individuals, because we've all been there, something happens on the track, and you get hot and heated, and you get out of the car, you carry that aggression over throughout the week. And if you don't call the individual and have a conversation with them, or if you don't talk to him the next race, you're just going to continue to have that aggression on you. So allowing them to duke it out on the front stretch keeps them from doing it in the pits where a tire iron or something could be used as a weapon. It also gives the fans something to see, but it also lets those two guys get it out of their system. And then, as most of us, once you fight, it's done and over with. That's it. All right, pat you on the back. Good night.
Unless you whip my ass, in which case I'm coming back.
But
I'm going to come back for
your old
another
boy
two.
in that video that buckled his knees a couple times because he's taking a couple of good ones.
Yeah. There was another angle where you could see that fight a little better, and he definitely got his knees buckled more than once.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's one side of that argument, and then the other side is what you brought up, Raz, with insurance. Like, if you're going to allow this to happen and the insurance says, well, if you're going to allow fighting on your premises and pay for it, we ain't going to insure you. And then now you're down a track again where we're trying to manage tracks and keep them alive.
Keeping videos out of the track if you're going to have shenanigans like that?
Well, everybody's got a cell phone.
Yeah, so good luck, buddy.
Leave the cell phones at the gates, boys.
Yeah.
It's getting rowdy in here.
I agree in principle with, settle it on the track. Chili Bowl has that policy that if you're going to fight on the track, and they have a designated area, which, as I've mentioned previously, just happens to be in front of the two biggest grandstands. But their rationale is if it goes back to the pits, they can't control it. There's too many people. There's too much stuff, like Thomas mentioned, that somebody could, conceivably pull out and use as a weapon. And they just can't control the situation. There's too many nooks and crannies back there, basically. So I agree with it in principle. I think the minute you pay someone to fight on the front stretch, now you've opened a whole nother can of worms. Now it appears that you're literally promoting fighting because you're paying somebody to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if you come in last and you get like our local racetrack, you get $50. If I can get another $50 to go whoop some ass for a minute or two, I'm all for that. But not that I want to, but that's a way you can look at it. They want a little extra money for an extra tire for the next week or something.
I mean, I don't necessarily see it where people are just out here trying to fight. It's not like it's a weekly occurrence. Shit happens weekly, but people getting that mad where they're going to, actually throw hands is few and far between. I mean, like we're talking about Bowman Gray. there's a shit sandwich there every single race. There's something going to happen, but not all the time do drivers get out of the car or want to get out of the car. It's just more so. I think it's more of a show than it is a race for the most part.
And it's racing is an entertainment business. That's been made abundantly clear at the highest levels. But what do you do if, one guy's walking the front stretch, he wants to hand out a 2-piece and a biscuit, and the other guy says, no, I'm not going to do it. Then what?
Well, then it's a dead issue. If
Right.
if both people aren't on board, then it's a no go, bro.
On the subject of,
I think another piece of that puzzle. Is just for instance because it's the circumstances of our track. Is our track isn't owned by the people that run the track. They lease the land and run the track, and the land is owned by the Indians. So then, if you have fisticuffs on the track and you're paying people, and the Indians hear about it, the Indians could run them off, and then you don't even have to deal with insurance at that point, boys. We ain't got a
Right.
track anyways.
yeah, on the subject of track closures, here's one came across.
Is it the West Virginia track or whatever?
East Moline, where's that?
Oh, East Moline. That's up there by
It's like
Iowa.
That's-
Illinois,
No, it's
yeah.
Illinois.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, but it's
Um,
on the border.
So it says, I deeply regret to inform all the racers, supportive fans, and sponsors that the East Moline Speedway 2025 season has come to an early end. It is not financially feasible to continue on due to the low car counts, low attendance, and unfulfilled promised community financial support. We could not have had the 2025 season at all without the hard work and dedication from our staff and volunteers, especially the ones that taught me so much. Jeff and Randy, you put together a great racing service. Thank you, Brett. Your willingness to guide me through the IMCA process is greatly appreciated. Rob Parker. Here's what I get from that statement. One sentence. Unfulfilled, promised community financial support. So it sounds to me like the city or the county or somebody promised him some money and never came through it. And that he's attributing the demise to that. It's a great way to avoid any responsibility of your own to to be responsible for not being to get the car count, not being able to get the fans. It's nope, the city didn't give me the money they promised me. Well, if you're in the entertainment industry, how you get paid is by putting butts in the seats.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a little bit of something about that. I'm friends with quite a few people, obviously. Well, not obviously, but some folks that have raced at East Moline Speedway. And the latest post that I've read from there is I see there's only 56 cars, not spending $30 for two of us to get in and watch 56 cars across 7 classes. Not sure why cars aren't showing up to race, but the fans that dollars go are going to decide not to go because the money spent is too much for the product they are receiving. So, I mean,
Yeah.
56 cars across 7 divisions, but like I said, that post I read was coming from an individual that raced there previously that was talking about how certain drivers were getting preferred treatment from the track, which kind of ran other people off. So,
I think we all know how not to run a track. If you start showing favorites to competitors, that you will quickly sour other competitors. And we're all familiar with a certain track that, there's friends of the promoter that get special treatment. I think that can get out of hand real quickly. And then you start driving car count away. And the moment you start driving car count away, you're also driving spectators away, because there's a certain group of people in the stands that are friends with that driver and they show up to watch him race. And then that element's being driven away. And then just the general race fan, if the car count's low, it's a boring show and they're not going to come.
yeah,
Yep.
I mean,
Agreed.
I totally agree with the You drive cars away, you're driving fans away. That's easy to see. I mean, so my question is as a race promoter, say you were a promoter of a speedway, how many classes ideal Saturday night? Because 7 classes is quite a few classes to try to bring cars in.
Seven's too many. 7 is way too many.
So I mean,
Yeah.
Well, so okay, so 7's too many, but are they 7 big car classes, Brandon, or is it like Verona where we run
No,
4 big cars and 3 kids
that's
classes?
7 big
I mean,
car
that's 7 classes.
They don't have little kids classes back there.
Okay.
Speaking for myself, if I were a track promoter, I think the ideal number is 4, maybe 5 classes a night, but definitely no more than it. And then I think if you do it that way, whatever your featured class is, I'm talking generally, I'm not talking about, Verona or anything else, but if your featured class is late models, well, you make a big deal out of that race that week. If the next week it's modifieds, you make a big deal about that modified race. If it's midgets or sprints or a figure 8 race or Crown Vics or whatever you're going to feature that week, make it a big deal. And part of how you make it a big deal is paying purse money. It's not uncommon out here in the Midwest to see a race that's $10,000 to win, $20,000 to win, for a weekly show, and that's how you get cars. Plain and simple.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of places running around with that kind of coin to pay out on a purse, right? So, I mean, just a random special of $1,000+ because most weekly shows across the country are averaging $300 to $500 to win a weekly show. So a periodic $1,000, $1,500 for a division, just to kind of, bring some people in or try to get let the drivers know that the track appreciates them showing up. A little purse money here and there, but I mean, $10,000 isn't necessarily feasible for a lot of places to just do regularly.
No, you got to be pulling a big crowd to do that. And the other thing you need to do to pay a purse like that is you need to bring in a sponsor. And maybe if they're just sponsoring that purse for that week or sponsoring that class for the season or whatever, and that takes working in partnership with those sponsors from the track owners, track promoters. A recent example of a track doing it right, and we're going to get into this because it's kind of a big. Santa Maria had a race this past week. They had King of the West NARC 410s, which Caleb Montgomery won, first NARC win of his career. Pretty awesome. Did some killer donuts at the end. They had modifieds and a stock car class, and they had dwarfs. Well, they only had 2 dwarfs show up. Shout out to Jason Horton and Shane Langenberger, the 2 dwarfs that showed up. So most tracks, if you get 2 cars that show up, they're not even going to race. They'll run them hot laps, but that's it. You might get a heat race maybe, but come time main event, it's like, nah, man, we're not doing this. Santa Maria went ahead and held the race. I think they shortened the lap count on, but they went ahead and raced. And then they paid full purse. You know what?
Nice.
Tip of the hat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was $300 to the winner and $200 to second place. They paid out $500 for 2 cars that showed up. Trust me, those 2 cars did not pay enough entry fee and pit pass to cover that $500. That track lost money right there. But what they gained, in my opinion, is goodwill from the racers, reputation. Like these guys are serious. And Santa Maria is going on its 4th or 5th promoter now. But this new group that's not just promoter, they're ownership. They bought that track. They own the land, the whole 9 yards. They seem to be really committed to making this thing a success. They've gotten away from some of the sideshow events that the previous regime had, where they were doing rodeos and everything else. It's a racetrack, and that's what they do. They do races.
I don't understand how only 2 cars showed up for that thing, because when we went up there with Phil and you guys for that dwarf car race up there, that track's a bitchin' facility, to be honest with you.
I'm really biased because the first time I ever got behind the wheel of a race car was at Santa Maria. I love that track. It's one of my favorite tracks. It is a blast to drive. High banked, high traction, hooked up in Holland. It is a way fun track. I went up there in a dwarf car and freaked my wife out because coming out of 2, I scraped the back bumper on the wall and did a shower of sparks. But the thing was, I knew 50 feet away from that I was going to scrape the back bumper on the wall. Never lifted because I knew exactly what I was going to do. I was going to go up, rub the bumper on the wall, keep right on motor. And I wasn't going to hook it and get slammed back into it. I had enough familiarity with that track, and the track was smooth enough to where I knew that's exactly what I was going to do. And it looked pretty cool, the video. So I'm real biased in that. But here's where I'm going to call it what it is. Here's where the bullshit comes in. There is a dwarf car club. I'm going to call them out. Southern California Dwarf Car Association. They told or encouraged or discouraged racers from going up to Santa Maria. Because Santa Maria said, we're not playing the club games here. If we're going to have dwarf cars, it's going to be our rules, our officials, our tech inspection. Your dwarf cars are more than welcome to race, but we're going to run the whole show. Which, as a track, that's their right. And so the dwarf car club that wants to be a promoter in their own right is poo-pooing that. Well, if you do that enough, you will run out of tracks, because if you say, "Oh, don't run at that track," okay, why? Because they won't let you be the king turd of Turd Mountain. You need to support a track, and like Jason and Shane, they live real close to Santa Maria. They raced Santa Maria a ton. There's some other Santa Maria area racers that did not race, probably because they were discouraged by that dwarf car club. And I think that's just total 100% complete bullshit. What do you guys think?
Bullshit.
I mean, my touch on that is it's kind of getting out of hand with a couple of these divisions where they have their own little clubs, and then their club wants to run scoring. They want to run tech inspection. They want to run this. They want to run that. Well, guess what? If they're affiliated with racers on the track and they're the ones running the operation, me as a racer, maybe I wanted to get into this division. I'm like, well, I don't want to necessarily get in that division if I'm not buddies with these guys, or I'm not buying their products, because I don't feel like I'm getting a fair shake, and I feel like they're getting away with some stuff because the tech guy lives at the same house that this guy does, or, vice versa. So to me, I think the track should have their own tech, and they should do that for all divisions.
Right. And I was going to kind of go along the lines Brandon was saying, is the track can have their own tech, but I think the club can work in conjunction with the track, like kind of a 50-50, like, hey, we'll race. We're going to just kind of oversee, if you guys are totally because my guess, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, the club, that, they didn't trust what Santa Maria's tech was going to do. Well, then, hey, let's work together. Let's make sure you're doing it right. And then we can work to make this better for everybody, not just say, screw you guys, we're out.
Well, I mean,
You start putting a bad enough taste in people's mouths on tracks about that kind of shit, you're going to end up running more than just your division away from a track, and then we're going to fucking start shutting tracks down
I
again.
mean, I just feel like if you have a dog in a fight, you shouldn't have a dog in tech. That's just the way I see it, because there's just too many people that aren't loyal to the, tech area. They're more loyal to a driver or a car. And those individuals might be having a one hand up, like, oh, this week we're going to tech this, for example, in advance, and then you can cheat somewhere else and know you're going to get away with it. So that's why I think tech should be not involved with any vehicle on the racetrack.
I think John hit the nail on the head. It's work with the track, work with the club or the sanctioning body or whatever. But I mean, devil's advocate is, if let's say I'm this dwarf car club, how's it any different than IMCA coming in and saying, this is how it's going to run? IMCA runs how tech gets run, what gets teched, what doesn't get teched at the track. They run points, they run inverts. IMCA runs the whole show. The difference being is at most tracks, as a matter of fact, it might be this way at all tracks. I don't know. The IMCA dictates the rules, but they don't provide the officials. The track provides the officials, and then IMCA will have roving officials that just go by, and they don't participate in tech, and they don't participate in race calls. They just watch to make sure it's being done. And then if things aren't done exactly how IMCA wants, they'll give them some general guidance. They'll say, hey, this is how we'd like to see this done.
I mean,
Yeah.
IMCA really only supplies tech officials when it comes to big shows like Super Nationals. They bring in officials from all over the country to kind of run that operation. Shout out Roy Daffner.
Shout
Right,
out Roy.
and so there's where I was
Yep.
going to go, kind of not against Brandon, but like we just had the IMCA 2-day here, and Roy was a tech, and didn't one of his kids win the stock car division?
Hobby stock.
So hobby stock, yeah.
No, hobby stocks.
So that's where
I mean,
Brandon's, if you've got a dog in the fight and he's teching his kid's car, nothing against Roy.
but you
I'm
also
not
have
saying
a
anything. I'm
secondary
trying
tech
to
guy there.
insinuate anything.
There's a secondary tech guy there that usually does the teching on his kid's car, but I've also seen Roy DQ his kid also in tech.
Well, and I will say that, yes, I've seen that too. So, but it's hard, I guess, sometimes to say if you've got any dog in this fight, you shouldn't be involved in tech.
I mean, it's just trying to keep people honest because it's just not always feasible. I mean,
No.
look at Gary Hartziker, for example, at Verona. He was beating everybody's ass in the street stock, became tech, and then started busting people for shit that he was doing in his street stock. It's like, come on, guy.
Because he was mad they found out.
He probably showed him the tricks.
But I think, like I say, I think working together is better than, like Thomas said, trying to put a bad taste in your mouth and running people off of tracks and shutting them down.
Well, I agree with you, Bridger. It's like if somebody from the Dorf car division, for example, goes and works with the tech guy before race day, for example, so the tech guy is up to speed on things like, our tech guys, if you're not a motor guy and you call in Mike Pridgeon for a couple of days, just kind of go over a motor so you understand what you're looking at. But when it comes down to race day, the tech official is the tech official,
Oh, yeah, I agree. I'm with that.
Like I said, I'm biased when it comes to Santa Maria Speedway, but I think, Santa Maria Speedway is more or less on life support right now because there was a couple of years where it was dark, they just weren't racing. And these guys are trying to, bring it up out of the ashes. I think if you, as a club, a sanctioning body, a group of racers, whatever you want to call them, are discouraging people to race at this track, that's not supporting a track that is an icon. Santa Maria started there in 1964. That track's been around for 61 years in California on the Central Coast against all odds, and they're still there. And like I said, that new ownership group is doing some exciting things.
Bring in a pure stock division. I'll go. That track looks so much fun. Dude, I went there and I seen Phil drive that car into turn 1 and 2 on the high side, which he never used to do, but the thing was a rocket ship, and I was like, that track looks just bitchin'.
Yeah. He must have been lost.
He missed the entry.
He missed the entry, right? But I think one of the bigger points, and Raz has mentioned it a couple of times, is it's not a promoter. It's not one or two people at Santa Maria. It's a board. They actually have a board of directors running Santa Maria Speedway now. And they're running it, I think, more like a business that they want to succeed instead of a racetrack that they just want to see races and have fun and, have their buddies out there. I think they're doing a good job.
Yeah, I think we as racers, and that's across the board, dwarf car, modified, sprint car, stock car, whoever, should be supporting a track. And, go up there and race if you get a chance. You'll have a blast, and it's supporting a track. The more tracks we have in California, a place that's hostile to racing because of everything, noise pollution rules, environmental stuff, whatever. It needs to be done. Like Paris is doing well. They're every time they show Paris, those stands are packed. I think Verona's doing pretty well, as good as they ever have been. There's quite a few tracks in Northern California. Northern California is kind of sprint car country, and they have that's their own community. There are people who literally will follow sprint cars around and go from track to track to track just to be a spectator. It's like I said, it's its own unique.
And I think, as you say, Verona is doing better. And I think, like you said earlier, Rez, this last race we had, they promoted it on Facebook, and everywhere I saw it, Verona was promoting it as, IMCA Modifieds take over Verona Speedway.
Sport mods.
And, I mean, sport mods, whatever. Sorry, Thomas. IMCA hot
Thanks,
water
buddy.
heaters take over Verona Speedway.
Microwaves.
But, yeah, microwaves.
The
So they're
microwave
promoting
one burns.
as, they're...
The microwave.
Who's got a trophy?
Wow.
Can you drop your mic on that one? Because he's earned it, boys.
He has. But yeah, they promoted A class, and coming up we have the Dwarf Car Nationals. It's a 2-day, and we'll see what they do to the one after that and say, hey, it's pure stocks or whatever, pony stock night. But promoting A class and trying to get those people are like, oh, I want to see that. That helps.
I'll give you a little something. As a sport mod driver, I wish that we could race at Verona more than we do. That's me being selfish. I want to race there every time that track's open. However, that track pulls a lot from the dwarf cars and from the lightning sprints. And so even though we are primarily IMCA sanctioned, because we have hobbies and stock cars, sport mods, modifieds, sport compacts, we also share those nights with the dwarfs and the lightning sprints. And you can't run, like we said, 7 divisions in one night, so they split it up. And I think that overall does a lot for the health of that track, having variety from week to week on who's at the track.
On
and
your
what's going on.
subject, Sober, it's kind of the card count deal too, because I mean, when sport mods first started, there was a couple of them out there, and it started building up. You guys are starting to build that class up to like a full class, so I bet you that as you keep coming up with 14, 15 plus cars a night, you'll get more days on the schedule. I almost guarantee it, because if you've been watching the swing from last year to this year, for example, cars that started picking up their car count started getting more days on the calendar. So it's a business, and you also got to keep your options open for all the fan bases, because like you said, some guys want to come only when they run the lightning sprints, for example, or they want to show up when there's a dwarf car race. Some people want to show up when there's an IMCA modified race, so I'm with you on that. But I mean, the more the cars show up, the more you're on the schedule, it seems like.
For our final topic of the night, I would want to touch on drivers getting hurt, because it's I won't call it a trend, but it sure is happening a lot here lately. The latest being Justin Grant at Lawrenceburg. He flipped and broke his right foot, so he's going to be out of the car for a while.
He said he tipped over.
If that's
Now that
a
it's
tip
broke my foot.
over.
If that's a tip over, I'd like to see a gnarly flip, because it was a pretty gnarly flip.
Yes.
Well, I've noticed these guys in sprint cars got a giant set of low hangers, and they take a wild ride, and they're like, "Oh, that wasn't shit." And it's like, "Buddy, I don't know if I can do some shit like that."
Yeah, sprint car drivers are brain damaged. our own Shane Sexton is a classic example. There's just something wrong with them people. But God bless them. I love watching them race.
Absolutely.
I know, we talked about it last week. David Gravel threw a little shade over drivers getting hurt, but that just reinforced his feud with Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any one thing that's causing it. I don't think sprint cars are inherently unsafe. Well, every race car is inherently unsafe, but
Yeah.
I don't think there's an exposure as far as a safety weakness in those cars. Though I don't think the sanctioning bodies are doing anything different than they have been. I don't think racers are racing any differently than they have been.
Well, I think racing is getting far more aggressive than what we've seen over the last couple of years. Like the younger drivers starting to come into the game.
See, I'm gonna disagree with you. More aggressive than AJ Foyt and Mario Andretti. Those guys went at it. Johnny Rutherford in a sprint car.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying it in that way. I'm saying more so they're more apt to take that questionable position versus, previous when you're racing hard, but you also know when it's probably a bad idea.
I mean, I think that's as old as the hills. I think that's 100-year-old argument. These young guys are, they got no sense. They're way too aggressive. Like I said, they were saying that 100 years ago. They'll be saying it 100 years from now.
Yeah. And even with the rash of injuries we've had in sprint cars and such lately, you have to look at, and like Raz said, the safety is still there. I mean, yes, they're injuries, but they're not fatalities. They're injured. They're broken a foot. They've, broken bones, body parts. There are the rare ones that are very bad if you land just right on it on four wheels. But we're trying to fix that too. We're trying to look into that with the shock on the seats and such, but they're relatively minor. No injury is minor, but relatively minor.
Are the cars getting faster from where we were previously?
Yeah, I mean, you could make that argument. They are. But on that note, I'd give a shout out to Winner's Performance. Winner's Performance redesigned the cover on their quick change rear ends to shroud the two top bolts, basically cover them up with part of that cover, so that if in a hard crash that rear end doesn't come up and those bolts rip the fuel cell open, which it could still happen, but now it's a more smoother contoured surface instead of having the sharp corners of those bolts sticking out right at the fuel cell. And no one forced them to do that. That's that quick change design of Winners is probably a 60 or 70-year-old design. They took it on themselves to do that. And I posted on Facebook that, the little video that they had where they talked about that. And I think it's, when companies like that are partnering with you, we had Kenny Colesbeck on here where he's come up with the carbon fiber shroud to go on the bottom of the fuel cell to help protect it. We had the guys with the monkey bars seat mount, and it's starting to pick up a little momentum in the open wheel realm. Where I saw a post today where Mariah Eid is putting those in. She said she's putting that in all her cars. So I think advancements are being made. You go years and years back to Tony Stewart getting his leg broke when the torque tube came loose in his sprint car. They made changes to put in, retention straps and container loops to help control that torque tube in an event of an accident. So it's an evolving thing, but in the essence that, the sprint cars when it comes down to it, they haven't changed a whole lot from when, they were being built in the 20s. And I don't mean the 2020s. I mean the 1920s.
Yeah. And I was going to say, kind of like Raz just touched on, I feel it's, like NASCAR, we've got the Newman bar, the Earnhardt bar, like
the Petty bar.
Crashes, the Petty bar, right. They give you more data on what you need to do to make it safer along the way. And we're at the point now that they're starting to figure that out. Say, okay, we need to do this. Maybe we need to add a bar here to strengthen the halo or stuff like that. Winners with its, just cover some bolts so they don't puncture your fuel cell and spill it everywhere. We're in that age where safety is going to come first and speed might take a little bit of a hit.
Nothing.
That's my 2 cents.
Nothing.
I know, it was quiet.
I mean, it's already happening. It's not necessarily so much in our realm of dirt track racing, but I mean, we are a dirt track racing podcast, but take it to NASCAR. The cars have half the horsepower they used to have. I mean, it's already happening. Reduction of speed increases.
I mean, I think it's across the board in racing. I saw an interview with Matt Hagan where he's talking about how NHRA is slowing down the funny cars and the top fuel cars in an effort to save money. They're doing the same thing that NASCAR and other sanctioning bodies have done, where they're trying to draw those cars back a little bit to make it more competitive across the board, which I 100% disagree with. I think at the top level, and I'm going to call it, top fuel and funny car being the top level in drag racing, it should be the best of the best. Bring what you brought, and if you didn't bring enough, you're going to get your ass kicked. Same in Formula One, and it should be the same in Cup in NASCAR. There should not be a restriction on how much innovation you can do. As long as it's within the rules, you should be able to do whatever you want, regardless of the cost. If someone's outspending you, tough shit.
Mm-hmm. But in good news, we talked about racetracks going away. Did you guys see the news about a dragster? That's funny. We were just talking about drag racing. A dragster by the name of Kai Kelly buying the track. Yeah, Pikes County, I think is what it was called. Let's see here. I got it pulled up. Pike County Speedway. So, I mean, I think it's like a clip of a YouTube video. Let me see what I got. This is what I got right here. That's it. So, bought his hometown track, Pike County Speedway. Looking forward to making this place awesome again. Remember going as a kid. And then it's a link for the YouTube video.
I think it's cool. Anytime someone's supporting a track, I think it's amazing.
I want to buy a racetrack. Anybody got some money?
If I had more money, I'd be eccentric. But since I'm broke, I'm just weird.
Yeah,
That's it, right?
Right.
Non-dirt track related. I said it off camera. I'll say it now, loud and proud. If you think racism doesn't exist, let Bubba Wallace win a race and then go in the comments section. It's ridiculous.
I mean, everybody already knows my stance. You don't necessarily have to agree with people, right? But the dude drove a good race and he won the race.
yeah.
Give him some credit.
He beat Kyle Larson, the best in the game, not one of the best in the game, the best in the game, on 2 consecutive restarts at the green white checker.
Yeah.
Beat him
when he didn't know.
Beat him
when he didn't know if he had enough gas.
Yeah. Basically,
Ain't got no
they
gas.
decided we're going to run this bitch dry, but we're going to run it dry time to win.
Yeah.
And clearly they had enough fuel because he burned that puppy down after the race. And I think it speaks to the content of your character, on how many of your peers, your fellow drivers, come and congratulate you when you win a race. A classic example of that is when Dale Earnhardt finally won the Indy 5 or the Daytona 500, and everybody was out there to give him a high five on that pit road, and tons of drivers were out seeing in victory lane, rubbing fenders with Bubba and showing everything that they got. I tip my hat. I'm a little bit of a Bubba fan. I hope he does well, and I hope he goes far in the playoffs. But what a bunch of pieces of crap in the comments section on just about any article about him. Oh, it was rigged. It was fixed. NASCAR, it was a DEI win. Just tell me you're a racist without outright saying you're a racist, because those comments to me show me that you're a racist.
Mhm.
If they wanted to rig that race when the rain came, they would have just called it. Yep, Bubba's the winner. That would have been the easy way to rig that. But no, you had to get Kyle Larson's
But
cooperation. You had to get William Byron's cooperation to not win that race. Bullshit. That's not how that happened. He
And
won
them
that
dudes
race.
were trying to get that win.
Well,
Yeah.
and why would NASCAR rig a race for a driver that's racing
Yeah,
for a team
exactly.
Right.
that's suing NASCAR?
Good point, Thomas. Good point.
I mean, but people aren't
Just throwing
seeing
that
that,
out.
Thomas. People are seeing that he's different from other people, and that's what they're playing on.
It comes down to the color of his skin. You can't convince me different. He is being, I want to say picked on, but there's a lot of noise. He's being there's a good
singled
word.
out.
He's being singled out because he's black. He's African American, and I think let's call that what it is. That's 100% horseshit.
Well, the way I've been
It is
seeing
horseshit.
Bubba is how emotional he's been after some close races
yep.
and some hard races. That's showing the man's got a heart, and that dude's trying his hardest to win a race, and he finally got one done, and at the Brickyard of all places is pretty phenomenal.
He didn't back into that win. He won that race. The only person who can maybe say, well, that race was mine, was Joey Logano. If Joey Logano doesn't blow that right rear in the late stages, he might have won that race. But if, wishes and butts were candies and nuts, we'd all have snacks.
I'm just going to leave that Joey Logano blowing a tire alone. I got all kinds of comments on that one, but
Well, I mean, it could start with
It
Joey.
couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
It could start with
you couldn't have it in your nice.
Joey Logano blowing, and we could go from there.
That was where I was starting. So hang on, I gotta find this. I want to share this. This I think is my favorite, and I know we're still on not dirt track, but my favorite tweet on X, and it's from Freddie Kraft's wife. It's this picture here.
By the way,
That's actually Freddie's his spotter. Yeah.
So Freddie Kraft is punching way above his weight class with Macon. She's way hotter than he deserves.
Yeah. But that's what she says. In case you miss it, these two just won the Brickyard fight. Look at shit, Freddie Kraft is skinny. And what Bubba, like 12?
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it.
Freddie Kraft has been Bubba's friend and spotter for 15, 20 years.
15, 16 years. Yeah.
Congratulations. They deserve every bit of accolades that they get for that win, and they deserve that win. But Freddie, you'll never see this. Your wife's way hotter than you are.
Oh, I'm snipping that tomorrow and sending it to Freddie.
No balls.
Send
Slip
it to
it to the
CBC. Dirty Mo Media. Oh, shit, I'll send it to Junior himself. He'll send it to Freddie.
I'm gonna call into their little
the reaction
whatever they
theater.
call it, the segment where they get the phone calls.
He's got some connections to get it that direction.
Well, I mean, Freddie's friends with the Woodlands. If I wanted to get it to him, I could get it to him for sure.
Shit, there you go. Maybe that's a good off-season guest.
Hey, can you bring on your wife when you come on our podcast?
Yeah.
Bring on your hot wife. We don't really want to talk to you.
His podcast is a little bigger than ours. So we've officially went off the rails. Let's call it a night.
Yeah.
So, Bridger, socials, por favor.
Am I doing socials?
Yes, you are.
Dirty Sliders on Facebook, at Dirty Sliders on Instagram, dirty.sliders on X, patreon.com, Dirty Sliders / or patreon.com / Dirty Sliders podcast. It's been a long day, fellas.
Thanks everyone for the support. We really appreciate it. Next podcast podcast after next will be a year.
Yep.
Like, comment, subscribe. Even if you don't
Cheers.
like us, tell us
Like,
what you
comment,
don't
yeah.
like. If you liked it, tell us what you do
Oh.
like. If you have a subject that you want us to talk about, put that in the comments too.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, there's that. Stop sharing, Soper. I got one more.
Fucking sober.
Okay, I got one more. I know, right? There you go. It's not the best. I got to fix the winner sticker, but it kind of more says Barona weenie on the bottom.
It's perfect. Leave it the way it is.
It does.
All right, we'll send that to Phil for new stickers.
Nice.
I need you to get some Sam's Alignment, Evans Door, and
Oh,
Gate,
okay.
and other,
Yeah.
the
I'll get
rest of
them
them
on.
on there too.
That's,
Yeah.
You promote your own damn sponsors, pal.
Can you put a dirty sliders across the side of the microwave at least, and then we'll leave it at that? He's got enough sponsorship stickers on his car.
True.
All right. Good night, everybody.
See ya.
Okay.
Good night, Joe. Peace.